let you analyze it. The tools, I got a price on all the tools. Really inexpensive to do this. This isn't thousands of dollars of tools. For about $100, you're up and running with a whole set of tools. So, inexpensive way to get into this. Low end on the manufacturing. We do have OTP parts, which means one-time programmables. So if you build the design, you can actually put a chip in it, and a lot of people run with the OTPs for quite a while.
Right.
Our least expensive OTP for the GPC3 line is 30 cents, which is cheaper than actually most
you can make a
processors.
whole, first production line using no parts without having to manufacture. You just get a little part.
Yeah.
You don't have to mask. There's all these costs associated with making into a production part. You can buy these off-the-shelf pieces that are really small that'll work in your product.
Yeah. The product line is quite extensive, and as I mentioned before, there's a lot of avenues to it. The last thing I want to just hold up, I'm not going to demonstrate, is we have one part that can run off of a single cell. So a single AAA cell, it has a boost converter, so you add a little inductor, and it pumps out. This part is so inexpensive that people use it just as a boost converter and bump, and don't even, they throw the processor away.
What, like 3 or?
3.5 volts.
Wow.
Just, and it's nice at about 50 milliamps.
So again, for product design, if you're using replaceable batteries instead of lithium-ion, which is the cheapest way to go, is replaceable. The problem is often you don't have room for 2 AA's. So a AAA, tiny little thing, and now you can get your 3 volts without having to do some other solution, that's really neat.
And other than that, I'm ready for questions or whatever.
Yeah, we're going to come sit up here, and now we're going to get to hopefully some questions you guys have. And there are no dumb questions. If you want to just even tell us the thing you're working on, if that's something you want to do, then now is the time to bring it up, and we can try to answer questions, and you can direct questions at either one of us or all of us or whatever.
How do we best get a hold of you?
Yeah, that's it.
I have cards up here. I'd be happy to give you a card. And we're very interested in expanding out of the toy market into the consumer market. And I would assume we'll do toys too. Trust us, that's our bread and butter. But we'll be more than happy to work with any industry.
So yeah, I think Derek specifically, he's got a lot more bandwidth than John and I at the moment. So so I think he's and I know because Derek helped launch Pleo. So what he does is he goes out, and if the job's too big, he just scales right up. So I think your first stop is to write up a little brief or give him a call, and you'll be surprised how those solutions come together for you.
So just so I understand, you guys are offering a service, saying,
yes, well, mostly
we
Derek.
add some of this technology to
Right.
one of our products.
Correct.
Derek, somebody in.
Derek does product development. I do product development. John does product development. We all kind of know a cloud of people. So yes, you go like that. And we just throw it whoever is the best person to take it.
Yeah.
And John has a lot of experience also about taking it to market and all the different business models. He spent the last 2 years researching business models. So but in terms of product development, with tech help, we can just nail just about anything at the lowest price. I think anyway.
Yeah. So to get back to your question, usually a phone call will kind of direct you. Now, a lot of what we've done or what you may come up with has been done before. We'll sometimes have access to codes. Like all these demos is demo code. We give you this demo code. So if anything here even looks remotely close to something you want, we can get you started. We have USB. I mean, it's a very extensive line, and we have lots of resources that way.
What is your phone number?
Area code 805-405-0866. And I always answer it, this is Derek.
Yeah.
Because I never know which hat I'm wearing. I'm out of Southern California.
So he's like just north of LA. So but it doesn't really matter. More questions? Let's go. No dumb questions.
Cool, I think everybody wants pizza. Let's go.
Yes.
How do you overcome the distance problem with RFID locators? For example, pet tags, kid tags, ELT type things where you want to...
Repeat the question for him first, sir. Yeah.
The question is, RFID is a very limited range. Most of the time you're very close.
What does RFID stand for? Do you remember?
It's
Radio frequency identification.
So when you have a product in the store and it's got that, it goes beep, 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 there's a little label in there with a little piece of copper in there that acts like a little, what is it, a coil, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what's on all the products, and sometimes you see that stuff. So a lot of people have used that. It just carries like an ID number. The reader in quantity, I've heard it's like 30 cents. It's about a nickel for the little tags. Very, very useful, but it has a range that doesn't work beyond, or it's hard to. Go ahead.
So in this new Bluetooth version, they're really going after three things. One of them is RFID. It's set up so that RFID tags come in two flavors. There's passive and active. The passive ones have to be energized, like Caleb was saying, they have to be close to
Those big bars
the
already go
active-
through.
The active ones actually have their own battery, their own power. But because these things can run for years on a coin cell, they're looking at replacing a lot of RFID applications with just the transmit part of a Bluetooth smart device. And the protocol is set up so that you can do that. So for very low cost, a lot less expensive than the ones I was talking about, they're going to be using those a lot, and so you'll see them for things exactly
For
like
tracking,
what you're talking
for-
about. And one of the big issues that they do is proximity detection. And so that idea that you just got out of range, like my keys and my phone are just getting too far apart, and then both of them start beeping at you, things like that are going to be really popular.
Also, you can have real data. You're not just getting
Yes,
a number.
you can have.
RFID
so
is going
another-
to give you a number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're also replacing a lot of GPS activities the same way by having a beacon. So when you're in a high rise or underground or something, you can have a beacon that transmits the lat long of that known position. But then, like Caleb said, it could also say, and this is a safe haven in a fire, or this is closes in 2 hours
Almost,
or whatever.
What's nice is the device you're carrying on is just your phone.
Yes.
That's the big deal. All the heavy lifting everyone already has. So if you're smarter on the emitter side, then you have this, anytime you see someone walking around with a box this big that's reading things, throw that away, say use your phone, and then put this little other piece of data that's emitting what it wants. Now, the nice thing about the Bluetooth is it can be gathering information while it's sitting there and sum it up and send it to you. Again, that's like, reading your meter or whatever like that.
I give you a little example of a real device, but I've run into this problem before. There's this little device, and you just stick it in your cigarette lighter power plug thing, right? And it does a pass-through, but it's got the little Bluetooth piece in it, right? Then there's this app. Well, as soon as you leave your car, it senses that you're separating, and it just marks that location, and then if you can't find your car, you could just, it'll know the last place that you left your car, and it'll direct you back to it. Well, that's pretty cool.
What's the?
That gentleman in the yellow.
In the yellow, yeah.
So I'm working on a gearbox where I need to be inside, and I want to be able to see inside.
Inside the gearbox.
But I also want to measure my stresses and my strains inside there too. So you guys are able to measure my...
And you want to send that data out of the gearbox.
Yeah, so I want to measure what's inside of it as it's moving.
Does it stay there all the time?
Yeah.
How long? Like years or?
I could run it for 7 years, or I could run it for just during the prototyping.
And do you need video? Can you take stills?
I can do stills, but if I want to do the stress strains, I want to be able to...
Well, those are strain gauges then, right?
Are you able to do the strain gauge as well as the visuals?
Well, the strain gauge is usually just a resistive.
Like how much
so-
is a strain gauge in your
Yeah.
world? I mean, what?
Well, it depends.
Depends on
His
the
is
accuracy.
his is probably a little more strenuous, but the strain gauge would be one
Strenuous.
cost. But then we do have processors with the A to D converters and all that signal conditioning that would be required, and then we'd come up with whatever mode works best for transmitting that data out.
So I think that you'd have your little camera placed in there, that one you saw with a lens, right? You have to get the right focal length. You'd probably put an infrared LED, because the cameras pick that up. It doesn't have to, but just an LED to illuminate what you're looking at. And then you have your strain gauges wired in, whatever. Hopefully it's a module, right?
Yeah.
And so let's take a guess other than strain gauges. What would that cost him to put in there that would come back out to your phone, let's say, with enough, right? So let's say you check it once a day.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Once a day for...
So it's data logging, obviously, all the time, storing the information locally, but only transmitting once a day.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'd have the $2 there.
For the
you've got-
Bluetooth emitter, right?
And you've got a processor on there already. Yeah, so
Yeah,
his
and it's
solution
got-
would be about right.
A to D's, and
Yeah.
it's got a fair amount of storage and real-time clock
Yeah.
and stuff.
It's about $2.
How do you connect it on? How do we stick it onto inside piece or something and move around and buy time?
Well, more than likely, you'd have to mount it somehow in there,
You'd
especially